All right, welcome everybody. I think we're live. Hopefully the audio is good. Being that this is my first one, I'm just going to double check and make sure. So just bear with me 1 second. All right, welcome everybody. Looks like the audio is good. So this is going to be a bit of a Q&A. I'm going to try and do these every other week or something like that. And then we're also going to unbox something as well. We've got some cool switching equipment that's come in that might be of interest to everybody. So this Q&A series will be a mix between microphones, podcasting, live setups, live switching, camera equipment, lenses, anything like that that I might be able to help you with if you've ever had any questions about stuff. Now is the time. And yes, it's caffeine time, not sponsored. So we're going to wait and see if anyone joins, because I don't live stream on here very often. It's been about probably 6 months since I did the last one. So I'm going to try and pencil these in a little bit ahead of time here. So let me just move the chat out here. Oh, my phone's going off. That means we've got folks here. We've got Daniel. Welcome, mate. Jamal, how you doing? All right, cool. Well, first two here, congratulations. The Procaster is rocking after the extra windshield. That's awesome, man. I'm glad because I think my audio might be clipping. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad because I feel like they're like the best sounding microphone minus the plosives. And after testing them against the Shure, I really feel like they sound way better. So I've actually got mine hooked up on the desk. They're not plugged in today. I'm just using this little shirt mic. But yeah, the Procasters are great. I got the dual Procasters here. Yeah, so I love these mics. I'm glad it worked, mate. I just figured it was worth a shot. I don't know why, or I should say, all Rode needs to do now is increase the thickness of that piece of foam on the end, and it's fixed. So yeah, simple fix. That's great. What are you plugging it into, Daniel? I'm interested to find out. He says, I placed 2 small pads of windshield inside the SM7B windshield, and that's 10 times better. Very cool. I've actually got a SM7B on loan here right now. This does come off, I'm pretty sure, but there we go. So that makes sense too. You could even do that same thing, put a couple extra pieces there. Being that these are so far, like these are so recessed into the the diaphragm so far back, they're not as problematic inherently, I don't think. But yeah, they're great microphones. No question about them. The Procaster Pro, very cool. So my Christmas present to myself. Actually, I ended up selling a few things to get this, but I figured it was worth it. I can't really show you this from that camera, but maybe I can do this. Hang on. Here we go. Check this out. Boom. So there we go. There's the Procaster Pro. I got my first video / first impressions of it coming up on probably in about only a few days away. It's great. It really takes the complication out of the whole setup. It really does. It's pretty cool. I do have a question about which Mac to get. I'm torn between the new Mac Mini M1 and the 27-inch iMac. Well, good question, man. I've got the 27-inch iMac as of right now, but I would almost say wait for the new M1 version of it. The current 27-inch one is fantastic. It's like so much better than my old what was it, 2015, late 2015 iMac. It's like not even close, but the benchmarks are so great on the M1. If you can wait and get the iMac screens are fantastic. They really are. But the new Mac Minis are performing extremely well, but you'll need to get a monitor and all that kind of thing. So keep that in mind. But yeah, overall, I think you can't really go too far wrong with either. I just think that the iMac Minis, sorry, the Minis are so much cheaper than the iMacs that you'll get very comparable performance for a lot less money. So maybe that'll convince you. I know some guys that are doing video editing on the new Mac Minis and they're fantastic. So yeah, give them a go. All right, we've got King Posse here. Welcome. So this is a bit of a Q&A. We're just going to talk about anything live streaming, tech related, or if you've seen something on the channel and you want some more information. I've got the multi-camera setup here. Hopefully the audio is good and all that kind of stuff. I have the exact same setup, yeah. Well, it's funny, you know, like I've been doing this big sort of journey through all the audio equipment. Like I used to produce music for bands, and I've had a lot of microphones for many years, but going down the podcasting rabbit holes, very similar, but also very different at the same time. So I've got a couple of videos coming up that should answer a few questions about the Rodecaster. I think it's a great unit. I still think it sounds better with the SE Dynamites plugged into the back. But yeah, my ideal goal now is to simplify the setup. So I can use these microphones that are over here, which I could do before. I actually had it all hooked up, but the problem is the preamps on the camera, even with a proper adapter, wasn't great. So I wanted to use that going out of a line out into the ATEM Mini, which seems to be doing the job. So I'm streaming directly from the ATEM, just doing all the encoding. Do you use LUTs for live streaming? No, I don't. I've got 3 cameras that can, well, 2 of these 3 cameras can handle LUTs, or you can upload, install your own, but no, I don't shoot in Vlog unless I really have to, or I don't color grade anything. So what you're looking at is straight out of camera on all of these ones. So that can be Red Bull cam. Let's give this a shot. Oh, hang on. Is that going to focus? The reason I've got this camera set up is because we're going to unbox something in just a moment too. Definitely we'll wait for the iMac. Yeah, look, I wouldn't be surprised if it's out before June, given how great the new M1 chip is basically killing everything well out of its price range. So you can't really go too far wrong. You could easily just get a Mac Mini and buy a good screen. The screen's half the appeal of the iMac, and if you don't necessarily need the 5K, 4K screen, will probably be fine. Rodecaster and ATEM, yeah, very cool, man. Yeah, the Rodecaster is something that I'm just getting familiar with, but I already like it. And I didn't even have to go through the instruction manual, which was super cool. I've got an unboxing video of it coming up, and first audio impressions video. I gotta tell you what, I like it a lot. It's really, really cool. Lefty Mike, welcome mate. He says I have a cheap Fifine mic that's really hot. It picks up way too much background noise. Are there any other mics that are cheap and a better quality? So if you're using Windows 10, there's a hidden setting for your audio microphone levels. You got to go into settings, and then there's like recording. There's like a recording tab in there for memory, and then you can pull a slider down to reduce the gain of that microphone. My friend's got a Yeti microphone that doesn't have a built-in gain control, and I remember how much of a problem it was. Like, why is this so hot? It was picking up everything, and all it is the settings within Windows. If you're using a Mac, it should just have some sort of slider you can move as well, but that's probably what it is. Windows 10 makes adjusting your microphone input way more confusing than it used to be. They changed the settings to make it more complicated. I actually helped one of my friends set up a live streaming rig with on Windows 10, and it was like a webcam and a USB microphone, and we were like, man, the mic is so hot. Like, it was same thing, exactly the same thing. So maybe that's all it is. But in terms of less expensive microphones at a better quality, you know, I don't think I've used the microphone that you're talking about. Let me just have a look. I've heard of the brand. I think I may have actually reviewed one of their mics before. Yeah, I have. I've actually reviewed one of their camera microphones. It was actually quite good. I'm just trying to think. There was one called. You know what? I'll have to just search for it. I can't remember the name of it, but it was really good. USB mic. Hang on. Yeah, there was one. Is it this one? Yeah, it was. It was the Fifine K678. It's actually really great once you adjust the audio levels. And the other one that I recommend is Maono, M-A-O-N-O. And that one's really good for the price. That got 100, it's weird how some of these videos take off. I think when the lockdown hit, everybody was looking for cheap, good quality microphones. And that video has got like 150,000 views or something. Yeah, it's just called Maono. It's, if you type in sub $65 USB microphone into YouTube, it'll come straight up. But the Fifine stuff is good, or Fifine, or however you pronounce it. So I would say it's probably a settings thing. Yeah, Windows, man, makes it way more complicated. Let's have a look here. Hey, this is totally random. Making a video about International Barefoot Day where I ask streamers to show their bare feet. Yeah, good luck with that. Mate, it is actually really cold here today, so not a chance. But maybe next time. I'm not going to move the setup around either, but good stuff. Mate, yeah. Maybe next time. This is my first live stream in like a year on here, mate, so I don't want to scare people off. Maybe on my other channel it'll be less insulting to everybody. Hey, we got Peter Gregg here, man. 5 a.m. What are you doing up at 5? Well, you probably haven't slept. Mate, I hope you're doing well over there. Hopefully you get a chance to come visit at some point in 2021. We'll see how this year goes. It can only get better, right? That's the plan. So I got a bit of a Peter Gregg setup here, but not as flashy. I don't have the cool Christmas room backdrop. If you guys aren't subbed to Peter, go check him out. Best live streams on YouTube, I think. He's not getting up to do a super chat. That's all right, mate. You don't have to do that. We got 6-string Brian. Welcome, man. 2021, same as 2020. Optimist. Same as 2020. Well, you got to be optimistic, right? Like you can't just assume it's going to be as bad as it was last year. I think, yeah. Let's see how it goes. Unless the aliens come down and do some crazy stuff. We should be good. That's the next level from where we're at. All right, let me just scroll back up here. Do I have any experience with the Aston Origin for live stream or voice? You know, I don't know what that is. So no, I'm not too sure, Daniel. Sorry, mate. Let me know more about that, because yeah, Aston Origin. Let me have a quick search here, and we'll see. Wow, I've seen these mics before. Actually, I didn't realize that's what they were called. I remember seeing these, but I haven't actually heard one, and I'm sure it's a cardioid condenser mic. So it would be good for live streaming. It'd probably be, being that it's cardioid means it's going to pick up less of the room. So as long as you're talking kind of in the front of it, it should be fine. But yeah, it looks like a pretty serious piece of kit. It gives me time to start my YouTube channel, so it's good for me to stay home for now. Well, that's it. I kind of encourage everybody, if you've got a regular job and it was impacted, with the COVID thing, start building some websites. Learn how to build a niche website that will help generate some bucks, because, yeah, I think the online thing, even though it's probably one of the more unstable environments out there, can also be, a safety net in a way as well. So there's plenty of great YouTube channels I watch, and I build a lot of niche websites as well. I've got about 10 of them. One of which is doing really well now. Well, actually, 2 of them are doing pretty well, but one in particular, and it's changed my month to month. It's really worth looking into. So go check out Income School on YouTube. Those guys are legit. I followed their free stuff on YouTube, and it completely changed my approach to building websites. And it's not hard either. So give it a go. You're running 4K 60p. It looks super clean. Thanks, man. You were the inspiration for all of this, mate. So thank you, Peter. I'm running, well, my GH5S and GH5 are set to 4K 50, being that I'm in the PAL region, but I think it's downsampling to the ATEM at 1080, but it should still hopefully look pretty good. It's 50, it's probably going to show 60 frames per second on YouTube, but being that it seems to upscale it to that anyway. So yeah, that's good. I'm glad it's working okay. Have you heard or learned about Amazon Live? No, I haven't. I haven't actually looked into that, mate. Amazon in Australia is not really a big thing here yet. So I don't really hear much about it here. Nor do I sort of, I know they offered like a video upload service a while back, but it wasn't really aimed at creators. There's another one that's come out that is supposed to be trying to rival YouTube. It's on its way up. You know what, I can't think of its name either, but a few people, I've seen in the comments pop up, oh, you should start uploading here as well. I was like, I didn't even know there was another option. So yeah, feel free to let us know a bit more about Amazon Live. I don't know about it. I think it'd be great if YouTube had some competition on a large scale. I really do. I think, you know, as much as I love the platform and it's part of what I do, I would love to see other people in on it. I think possibly Microsoft owned the other one. I could be wrong, or that's what I heard. Six String says, I've been using ECAMM over the last month. It's very good. Now you're talking Peter Gregg's language. That's what he uses as well, ECAMM Live. So it is good. There's something cool about, you know, when I got the ATEM Mini the first time, I had nothing but problems with it. It just didn't work properly for what I wanted it for. So I ended up selling it within not long. It was maybe 2 or 3 days after, because I knew I was having like audio sync issues. The audio would drift big time. Like you'd start streaming and by 30 minutes in, your voice was not even anywhere close to where you were actually talking, right? So there were lots of problems with it. So I ended up flipping it and downscaling it to the ATEM Mini Standard, which has been great. But being able to hit on air and just go live takes the load off the computer, and I'm kind of digging that. I might try a ECAMM Live now. I've got this sort of set up and ready to go. I'll give you an overview. It's actually interesting. You're talking about Rumble. Yeah, that's maybe what it is. Yeah. I don't know if, you know, Twitch was initially aimed at gamers, but Rumble seems like it's got a bit of everything. So, yeah, I think they're, very similar to YouTube. Your video results will show up in search engines. I'm pretty sure that's kind of part of it as well. I think if they already do that, but it's pulling from Google basically. So yeah, they're obviously looking for a second video empire sort of website, which would be great. I really think it'd be good. It's about time. Like, I love YouTube, and it's consistently, people will disagree, but for me, I think it's always gotten better. Better resolutions that it supports. The analytics are always good and improving on the most part. I hate sometimes they change things that sort of, like functionality initially is a bit sort of sloppy, but they always seem to get around to fixing a lot of the problems. So it's going to be hard for someone just to turn up and have all of that 10 years of engineering or 15 years of engineering established. It's going to take time for any new company, I think, to get up to a standard that people are expecting, being used to YouTube or Twitch or whatever. So yeah, I'll have to give that a shot or look into it a little bit more. I've seen that pop up more and more, Peter, so thanks, man. Speaking of which, check this out. So I got an email the other day. These turned up in 3 days. I couldn't believe it. So this is quite literally two streaming devices, two switches that are supposed to rival the ATEM Mini and the ATEM Mini Pro. They're basically the same kind of concept. This has first-party software support from what I understand. And the only major difference between the two is I think one's got USB support for... oh, no way. I was looking for that. Put that there. So yeah, it's pretty similar. Like one's less expensive than the other one. They're both very similar, except I think the biggest difference is now they're coming with these 2-inch screens on the front, so you can actually preview everything without needing a separate computer or you know, mini monitor. So we might open these up and check them out as well, sort of get a sense of what they're like. So yeah. Yeah, I think just going back to what Andre was saying before, yeah, put some time into the channel, man. Don't burn yourself out. I'm guilty of doing that with my main channel. It's last month I was fried. I've just started getting back into the swing of doing stuff again. Amazon Live works just like this live stream. Under your video is a product carousel of products of your choice. You talk up those products while you get commission as people click on them. I wonder if that works for people who have been banned from their affiliate program like I was. You know, there's 26 ways you can get banned from Amazon Associates program. And even like putting in the wrong sort of verbal terminology in the description of your videos can get you banned. So yeah, I wonder if they'll open that up to everybody again, or whether I'm still on their list of folks who got banned. They did this so confusing. Kind of like a shopping channel and you other stuff. Mate, I reckon this could be for you, Peter. You've got the natural gift of being able to talk for 4 hours about stuff, so you should give that a shot. Tell us your live setup in front of you. All right, cool. I can show you, actually, if you want. Let me just do this. You can see the hidden side of the room here. All right, so that's what I'm kind of looking at, although the camera's not where I'm looking, but I can see, I've got two screens. The one over here is off currently. That's usually for when I'm using the laptop, I can plug in and see a bigger screen. That's pretty much that. The side on the right over here is the preview and program menu for the stream, so I can see exactly what's going on. The camera in the foreground here is the GH5S, which I got a couple weeks back for an absolute steal, man. Just ridiculously good deal. I know the GH6 is coming out this year, but yeah, I'd been thinking about getting one of those for a long time, and I've decided I'm going to sell one of the G85s. So that'll be on its way out, and then yeah, we might see what the GH6 is like when it comes out. We'll see. We'll see. So that's it. I got two Philips. The monitors are, I actually reviewed one of them about 1.5 years ago. It's a Philips 31.5 inch full HD monitor. I can't remember the model number exactly, but it's on my channel. And yeah, it's great. I ended up finding 2 of these on the used market. I ended up selling some stuff on Gumtree. I've sold a few guitars recently, and these came up like the day of I sold mine. So I went down and picked them up, and man, shopping used, if you can get stuff that's basically still got boxes and it's been used, you save a fortune. I got 2 of these monitors for less than one would have cost me new. So yeah, I mounted them on an arm that can support 2, it's like a VESA monitor, that VESA mount, sorry, that can support 2 monitors, and that's it. So I'll buy it. Yeah, you can buy it, man. It'll work in the US too. I think it's got, yeah, it does. The G85 has both frame rates. It does 25 and 30, so it'll work there. Mate, no worries. I don't know how I'd go about shipping that. What about batteries? Batteries might be okay. The mic I'm using today is just this. I'm just using a little Rode Wireless Go. I do have some processing on the audio, but not much. It's just a limiter to try to cut it from, or stop it from clipping. I had this room set up recently so I could use all these podcasting microphones, but just the other day I ended up changing it around because of the Rodecaster Pro ended up being in the setup. So I've moved some things around. I'm yet to reattach or basically get that into the switcher. Once I do that, this room will be done. And then I've sort of got to ask the question, I love the DBX286S. I've actually got a few of those, which are like preamps for podcasting microphones or dynamic mics. They got compressors, limiters, all kinds of cool stuff in there. But I don't know if I need it now because of the Rodecaster. We'll see. I don't want to decide on getting rid of them because I'm an idiot. I'll sell something and then a month later I'll go get it again. So we'll see how we go with that. But the Rodecaster seems like a pretty great unit. And once I sync it up with the ATEM in terms of the off sync for the audio, it should be great. Should we check out one of these? The Mini Plus is like the, I think this one's like the ATEM Mini Pro, and this one's like the ATEM Mini from what I understand. I'm going to do full reviews and walkthroughs on these, but I want to make sure I've had a good chance to use them before I do the review. I see so many tech YouTube channels opening stuff up and their review is the unboxing and their first use of it without really deep diving into anything. I don't mean going into specs, I mean like understanding what it can do. So I'll do a quick, I might do a quick unboxing on this and we'll see what it looks like. But yeah, when I do the proper review, I'll know exactly what's going on. Now, thankfully, because I'm lucky enough now to have a couple of these switches, I'll actually be able to use it in the video, like use it live and then show you the preview and program windows. Yeah, this one says USB 3 streaming port. Let's see if that works. It says seamless switching, configurable HDMI output, which means, yeah, you'll be able to either preview or program that out as well. Picture-in-picture, transition effects, audio insert and extract, which is cool. Remote control apps, PTZ and disk features with Mini Plus. I think PTZ or PTZ means pan, tilt, zoom camera, possibly. So it may work with, you know, cameras that can be remote controlled to move. I'm pretty sure that's what that is. I've never actually owned one of those before. And it looks like this one on the back supports all these different services here. So yeah, the Mini, they basically look the same. So I would almost be under the assumption that they're going to be, yeah, pretty much the same unit, but internally they're going to vary. Anyway, I guess we'll find out. So yeah, that's cool. I always like checking these things out. It seems like the market's finally catching up to the demand. And there's no real duds out there either. They've all got their own pros and cons and strengths and weaknesses. The Live Pro L1, when it first came out, needed to be updated. It wasn't quite right, but they fixed it. They fixed a lot of the issues I had with it. So yeah, I don't really feel like there's any real duds in the market. So hopefully these are just as good. He gave me wrong info about the unit. Which one, mate? I don't intentionally give wrong information out. And sometimes when we get sent stuff, it may also be slightly different to the release as well. And a lot of the time they don't tell you that. So yeah, just let me know. Sorry if something wasn't right there, mate. And I got to say, the The YOLO box has been updated as well. So that's got some new transitions. I'm going to try to do a test live stream with that coming up pretty soon. I might have to check out what this looks like. Let's have a look. Now, is that in focus? Or should I focus a little better? Here, hang on. There we go. Let's check it out. I'm basically going to leave the unboxings out of my videos from now on after this next one, because I feel like, out of the review videos, I feel like that's the least important thing. All right. Man, it's heavy. Whew. It feels heavier than the, oh yeah, all right. Yeah, it feels heavier than the ATEM. All right, so on the back, we got 4 HDMI inputs, 1 HDMI out, power supply in. Very similar to the Live Pro in terms of its configuration. We have the transition bar here, which feels really good on this one. Yeah, the buttons feel great. It looks very, very similar, actually. We have a heat dissipation plate on the bottom, which the Live Pro doesn't have, nor does the ATEM Mini. It may have it internally, but not visibly like this, which is great. I actually heard a few people saying how hot some of these get, and that they've, not this brand, but just some of these switches. So, yeah, I've never really had that much of a problem. The ATEM does heat up quite a bit, but the Live Pro has been fine for me as well. As long as you keep it on a flat, hard surface like this, you should be good. What else have we got over here? We got USB 3 out, audio in and out. We've got an audio out on this. See, that's a step up off the ATEM doesn't have that. And we have a LAN port as well. So you're pretty much your bog standard switcher. I'd like to hope we start seeing some of these in exactly the same as this or the ATEM, but 4K models that don't cost the earth. There's no reason now that like they couldn't start making 4K versions of these without costing a fortune, because the tech's already there. If it can support 1080p 30 or 60, it can do 4K 30. So yeah, feels good. Feels really good. All right, we got Hassan. Welcome, mate. How you doing? So that is it. That's the new, well, I don't know if it's new, but that's the RGBLink, which is something that just arrived the other day. Let's see if we can get you a close-up of this a little bit better here. There we go, that's better. So you can get a sense of what it looks like. There's the plate on the bottom, the heatsink. So it must get pretty warm if they've decided to put a heatsink on the bottom of it. Hassan says, do you still use the ATEM Mini? Has the audio delay sync issues still persist? I'm using it right now, so it does work. It took ages. The first one of these I purchased, I sold quickly. I mentioned it earlier. I had nothing but problems streaming out of the USB output, or even the Ethernet. It was just unusable after 30 minutes. And then there was some back and forths, and I waited on the, I wasn't on the forums, but I kept checking the forums. I kept talking to the people that sold me the unit. I ended up buying, basically once I sold the ATEM Mini Pro, I ended up getting an ATEM Mini, and I was streaming out of the HDMI output because that worked. So I could hook it up to a different encoder and then send the stream out to the web. But the reason you buy the Pro is to actually have the functionality of the encoder and the USB out as well, and be able to designate sort of how you want to use it. But it was pointless for me because it didn't work properly. But I ended up getting another one because it works again. So yeah, they're pretty cool. Pretty cool units. I don't know if this has the same sort of like plug and play streaming functionality or not, but I'd assume this one is the smaller of the two. So this will be more like the ATEM Mini standard, which I use on my In the Blues channel a lot for live streaming. It's hooked up via USB to my other computer. and it just works fine. So yeah, that audio drift issue was widespread, and you know what? It sort of sucks that like Blackmagic monopolized that. I didn't monopolize it. They were smart enough to show initiative and build up their, you know, their presence with the switching systems and stuff. But it took them so long to sort it out. So yeah, I don't know what the deal is with that, but I wish sometimes their update, I would have kept mine had I known that they were going to address that issue at some point, you know. So it is what it is. Hassan says, do you buy most of the things you review, or are you big enough that companies loan you the gear? So both. Most of the stuff you've seen, with the exception of the Olo box, the Live Pro L1, and some of those USB microphones, and what else is there? That's about it. Everything else I've purchased. Well, I didn't buy these, right? But yeah, these are in for review. And I always disclose this as well. So if you ever watch the video, always at the start, if I've gotten something for free, I tell you about it, and there's a thing that comes up that I put up on the screen that says product provided by whoever it is. And I did that with this as well. I also buy and sell a lot of stuff, right? So I might have something turn up that I've ordered, and then 3 months later, I'm like, man, why did I buy that? I wouldn't mind trying this. So then there's some stuff that goes out. And I've got a few YouTube channels, so I'm not just saying like stuff that I get on this channel I sell, because that's not the case. I've got all the DBX stuff, all of the microphones that you've seen me use, like all these boom arm stands and stuff. I pay for all of it. So yeah, I always disclose that in videos. I always have. I actually, you asked, what was you, or are you big enough for companies to loan you the gear? So sometimes I'm allowed to hold on to stuff, and other times they're gonna just loan me the gear. Fuji, is it Fuji? Yeah, it is. They're lending me one of their top of their line cameras coming up with a cinema lens. So I'm gonna be doing some reviews of that, and that's just on loan. So I do have to ship that back. Got it for about 2.5 weeks. Got an email from him earlier today saying it's all boxed up. Should be at your place on Monday. So that'll be cool. And I'll just let people know. But yeah, always check the start of my videos. I always say pretty much right after the intro if something has been, if I haven't said that it's on loan or I've got it in for review, then I've paid for it. Hey, I have a question regarding the Telefunken TF11. Let me have a look, mate. Let me check it out. Wow. It looks cool. You know what? I'm an idiot. I should have hooked up the laptop so I could have shared this with everybody. I didn't obviously come prepared. Large diaphragm condenser microphone. What's the damage on these things? How much are they? Doesn't really show the price. They look like high-end mics, but I could be wrong. Yeah, that's a brand I've not had any experience with, but it's a large diaphragm condenser microphone. So that means a couple things. One, it's going to be great for spoken word, but it's also going to pick up a lot of ambient noise. So use it in a room that's quiet. Point it away from the source of any noise. So if you've got a lot of cars going by, make sure you've got the microphone kind of, the back is facing the window to pick up less of that kind of background noise. So yeah, they're usually great for vocals. Any of those large diaphragm condenser mics are great. I think condenser mics are generally a lot easier to get a great sound out of. You don't need to get preamps and all this kind of stuff for them. Plug them into almost anything and they're going to sound great. Big fan of the plug and play functionality of condenser microphones, whether it's a shotgun one or, you know, I've got 3 or 4 large diaphragm condenser mics I've had for years. And every time I do vocals on an album, I use a Rode NT1. They just work. Plug them in, sound great. Excuse me. aren't the HDMI ports on the ATEM Mini plug and play? So you can just hook up. Yeah, they are. I just didn't. The problem is with this crappy old laptop I've got over here, I need a converter from the display port, and it's sitting right over there. I couldn't find it before. I'm like, where is this thing? So I ended up just going, you know what? I won't hook up the computer. You can do that. Absolutely, you can do that. Actually, I didn't show you what else we had in the box here. Let's see if there's anything else that's cool. It's just a power supply. So, power supply and looks like an Ethernet cable. Let's check out the other one. I want to see if they're any different, actually. So, I'll keep an eye on the questions here too. If anything comes up, I'm more than happy to answer any more questions. Any plans to tour your new studio? I'm interested in how you set it up, like acoustic treatment. You know what? Don't worry about acoustic treatment. It's the biggest scam in the business, mate. I've got a studio room that I use for my music room over here. And at my old house, I never did any acoustic treatment, and I still got great results when it came to recording vocals. You don't necessarily need to do all of that unless you're doing spoken word stuff that you really want a dead sound with no ambience, then do it. But a bit of room sound isn't bad, and if it doesn't sound that bad just with this microphone, which isn't even facing my face right now, you're hearing the room. So I guess it is technically a little dead because it's got carpet, there's some furniture in here, and there's curtains to this side, but that's it. I don't acoustically treat my rooms. I think if you're a professional voiceover artist, then you might need to get a booth. You know, and you can do that with curtains. You don't have to go crazy. So, you know, you can put up some additional curtains against the wall on a rail if you need to sort of get rid of some reflections. But yeah, I've never done that. I really don't feel like it. And my other music channel is a lot bigger than this channel. I've never needed to do it. So it's funny because a couple of the YouTubers that I know in the music thing, they always said, oh, why don't you acoustically treat your room? I'm like, it sounds great. It's dead enough in there already with just curtains, carpet, furniture. So yeah, don't get too consumed with getting all that. I've done this before. I used to have a studio once upon a time. It was upstairs in a warehouse. And I went nuts with the acoustic foam. And the end result was, it didn't make much difference. It might have been the room too, right? So yeah, clap your hands if you get like lots of annoying feedback or like high frequencies, then maybe add some curtains, but that's all I ever do. I don't really feel like you need it. Do I know the price of the RGB thingies? You know what? I don't. I did see their website initially. Maybe someone can, actually, I'll have a look now. That's a good question. Let us have a look. RGBLink switcher. Price. Let me have a look. All right, so the Mini Plus, which is this one. Is this one? Yep. Yay. No price. I'm on the official site. Usually, maybe it's on like Amazon or something. Let me have a look. RGBLink Mini. Yeah, I'm not too sure. Maybe someone will have more luck looking for it. Sorry, I didn't think to check the price. But I'm pretty sure these will be very competitive in terms of price because they're not Black Magic. There's no way they're going to charge more for their product than what you could buy, you know, like an ATEM Mini or Pro for or ISO for. So yeah, good question. Sorry, you caught me by surprise with that one. All right, we've got a good question here. I'll take this one. I don't want to be. Oh, sorry. Fispin says I don't don't want to get it and be surprised with jarring sound coming out of the mic. So my question is just, or my suggestion would be, go into the room and talk loudly and softly and see how it sounds. And if it sounds okay to your ear, then the microphone will get a pretty accurate representation of that. And if it sounds horrible, like you can hear a lot of things coming back in the audio that you don't like, just in the room acoustically, then you've got a problem. Yeah. So maybe the studio tour might surprise you just how simple this setup is now. I used to shoot in my dining room a lot, and I got sick of moving all the stuff in and out. So I cleared out all the junk, gave some stuff away, and yeah, I've got a space I can walk into, and it's almost ready to go now, which is cool. All right, Abella says, what are the basic tools to start start a good and budget video podcast on YouTube, including phone calls. So if you want to bring in calls, you'll need a mixer at the very minimum. There's no super cheap way of doing it. The only two units that do it are the Rodecaster Pro. You can send what they call a mix minus into the board, which allows you to take a call, control their volume, and set the audio so there's no loop, it does it automatically, and it can also do it via Bluetooth as well. So that's this thing over here, which I got a review. Oh, actually, I don't have a review coming up just yet, but it's on its way. So that's something that can do it. Zoom also make a comparable product, which is called the, I don't know. But it's they make a couple of different ones, but they make a podcast-centric, there's two of them now actually, there's a newer model and the older model, but Zoom make a product that's pretty much like a less expensive version of the Rodecaster Pro. I haven't tried it. I know they're far lighter in their weight, and one of the reasons I didn't want to go for that, because I already had a Zoom recorder that had some problems. So they make great stuff, Zoom, and I've used a couple of their 8-track multi-track recorders, and over time the pots just go on them, so that, like, how you control the gain of the signal going in. So I thought I'd give this a shot. I like Rode products. They didn't send that out or anything either, so yeah, I thought I'll give this a shot, and that's probably the easiest way to get going. At the very minimum, when it comes to streaming, you either need a good webcam, so something like a Logitech C920, or a proper camera, which I would suggest going for like a Panasonic G85. But then you're going to need something to get that signal into the computer or out to the web. So that can create its own sort of dramas. But yeah, there's a whole lot of different ways you can go with it. The most simple one would be a webcam and proper audio. So if it's going to be a podcast, you probably want to invest more into the audio side of it than having lots of flashy cameras, because then you're still going to have the same problem you might have had before, where you won't understand how to get the audio synced up. But if you use a webcam and analog audio, it's all going to be basically in sync. So that'll be a good way to get you going. I don't know if you've ever seen Pat NES Punk. He does the CU podcast. I'm pretty sure they only ever use a webcam, but the audio is good. So it's clearly watchable if you're into it. All right, let's have a look at this. So if anyone can find the price on this stuff, feel free to let me know. Yeah, I didn't really think this stuff would be here so quickly, but yeah, it literally took 2 days. I was shocked. I thought it was going to take a long time. All right. So a bit flashier packaging on this one. Man, these look the same. What's the difference? So clearly they've I should have moved my other camera closer, but clearly you can see that these look pretty much indistinguishable from each other, except for on the top here, this one says Mini Plus. Now there are some differences between them, which I'll go into in the video. But cosmetically and at least build quality wise, they look identical on the outside. So yeah, pretty cool. Anyway, I'll save it up for the video. I've got a bit of learning to do when it comes to these. I haven't plugged them in or anything, so I want to make sure I know exactly what's going on. But I know because these already have the like first-party software support that they should be pretty good. RGBLink Mini, 339 euros. Okay, cool. Mini Plus, 546 euros. 546 euros. Wow. Okay, that's quite expensive. Let me just let me find something here. I downloaded. Oh, was it on my other computer? Hang on. It might have been. Hang on. Let me just check something. All right, so this one allows you to do chroma keying. It also has logo support. Looks like we can program or multi-view. So yeah, it looks very similar. So the higher end one can do a few things I think that the other one can't. And it also supports pan tilt zoom cameras. Works with OBS. Supports all the major frame rates up to 1080p and 1920 by 1200 for, I guess, computer aspect ratios. Yeah, very cool. They look good. So anyway, I guess we'll find out. H.265. Cool. All right, so these are coming up. So if you want to, what I'm going to do also coming up, I've learned some new things about the YOLO box, and I've also learned some new things about the ATEM Mini, as well as the Live Pro that I want to throw a new video together. So once these videos are done, I'm going to test them all on a stream as well. So stay tuned for that. I'll actually physically have this hooked up. We'll be streaming out of this through OBS or however works. And yeah, I want to see if it actually works for its desired use. Because one thing I haven't done on a lot of them is actually test them in that particular scenario. I've used them as switches and recorded to a hard drive or something, but I've never actually streamed with them. So yeah, that's definitely coming up. Actually, I really love the way these feel in the hand. They're built really well. But the advantage, again, you get the screen on the front. Pretty cool. Hassan says, oh, sorry. Jamal says, what do you use for video editing? I use Final Cut Pro. I remember the first day I moved over to a Mac. I had to buy an iMac and then I had to buy Final Cut. And it was the best investment I made for what I do. You know, I cut probably 500 videos up a year in total across all of the things that I do. And it's just, it changed my productivity. It made it so easy. But the great thing about the Mac, if you were talking about a Mac before, you can just use iMovie, right? That'll get you through most basic jobs. It's only once you want to start layering up stuff that it might not be enough. So, and that's free. GarageBand is free as well, which is really powerful for music stuff. So you'll get a kick out of that when you play guitar. And all the drums you've been hearing on my other channel are through GarageBand. That's how good it is. So, Hassan says, I've got a Sony APS-C camera. Very cool. Would you recommend I get a GH5 as a second camera for live streaming YouTube videos or stick to Sony? So the only downside to Panasonic cameras, in my opinion, and this has nothing to do with the sensor size wars, is the fact that the autofocus isn't as good as Sony. So right now I've got it set to manual focus. It's not going to go anywhere. All the cameras are set up with manual focus. I did a video on how to get the most out of the autofocus on the GH5, and it works well, but it's not as good as Sony. So that's the small sacrifice. But unlimited recording, no overheating, flippy screen, great audio preamps, audio adapters. They're awesome cameras. That's all I use because they're very, very functional. But if I wanted a camera where I'm going to just be plonking it down or doing a lot of handheld work, the Sony's well, not all of the Sonys are good when it comes to that, but their autofocus is great. One of the things I love about Panasonic cameras is their stabilizer. It's really good. You can handhold it, I should say, with the GH5, and it looks like you're on a tripod once you enable the IBIS lock, IS lock. It's really good. But the Sony's probably got its advantages as well. It will give you probably more blurry background than the Panasonic ones will. But that's pretty much the only positive other than the autofocus, because their preamps aren't as good a lot of the time. The APS-C cameras don't have screens you can flip out and face you. They flip up, so they block the way of the, I've got a microphone on top of the camera, mic pack on top of the camera, so that would be blocking the screen. So you got to weigh up what the most important thing to you is. For me, doing a lot of long form content, like a video that I do on this might take me an hour to sit here and film. I just let them run, and at the end I get 3 big files, 1 on each camera, and I take it out and I edit it. So that kind of works for me. The trade-off is still, great picture quality, but you've got to just lock your focus. It means I can't do this with a video like now, and it won't change focus. I mean, we can try it on autofocus. Here we go. I never use face detection. I usually use one area mode, which is this. So let it do its thing. Let's see how it goes. So what I've done, one area mode means there's a box I've put right here. So whatever I hold up, but I'm not recording, so audio might be, the autofocus might not be as, it works all right. So it just takes a bit longer, and then you'll get that contrast detection shake. But we'll see how it goes. If I move, it's going to get so confused because it won't know what to focus on because of the blue screen. Have I tried the Stadia? I haven't tried that, mate. No. Right, we've got Rob from Winnipeg. Welcome, mate. No, all good, man. It's a Q&A, so feel free to ask. So Hassan says, can you share your video settings? So I'm using, I've got ISO 400 on each of these cameras right now. The lighting looks bright, but it isn't in here at the moment. So I've got 2 light boxes behind the cameras that are on their lowest setting and 2 side ring lights here. I use the 360-degree shutter rule, so makes it nice and easy to basically get the right frame rate, so the motion blur should look good. Actually, I've got it set to 4K 60, but it's downscaling it to 1080p 60 for you guys. Well, it's 50 on my end, but it'll upscale on YouTube to 60. Yeah, that's it. I think I've got my camera set to, it looks like f2. Looks all right. So how's the autofocus? Is it distracting? Here you go, look. Is that gonna work? There we go. See, Panasonic autofocus. Who would have guessed? Worked. It's always a surprise when it works. Face detection mode, I don't trust it. I only trust one area mode. Yeah, Sony's IBIS is only good for slight vibrations. Yeah, that's. I remember when the A6400 or 500 came out. I can't remember which one it was. I always get them confused. The video quality looked fantastic, and it had a lot of positives. Like, I think it had unlimited recording. The tracking autofocus was fantastic. It had a lot of great stuff. And then I saw Max Yuriev walk with one, and I was like, oh, what have they done? Like, they could have made it the best camera out there. I don't think it had a headphone jack either, which, for me, I don't really care too much about that, but I know a lot of people do. I think they probably would have killed Panasonic had they have made a better IBIS system in there and a flippy screen, but yeah, their IBIS is atrocious. Even on like the latest one, the Sony a7S III, I think that's probably its only weakness is its IBIS. It does have like like a dual image stabilization thing where you can enable a digital stabilization, but then you get like the crop thing going on. I don't know. I think Panasonic's is pretty good. It might not be the best out there, but it's pretty good. But I really like a lot of things about the Sony cameras. If I was going to buy a full frame one, I'd probably still buy the A7S III. I know Peter Gregg, who was here earlier, has got one. Many people have, but it's like the best all-rounder because I think Panasonic make better pro cameras, but there's always that but. What about the autofocus? But if you're manually focusing your cameras, you don't care about that, right? But for content creators who just want to plonk a camera down and get it to work without knowing anything about settings on the camera, Sony's a far better choice. And you can do pro stuff with them as well. They look fantastic. But up until the Sony A7S III, there was always these deal breakers for me. Whereas the only deal breaker for Panasonic on the most part is their autofocus. Everything else they do great. And they were so ahead of everyone else as well. Even the GH5 today still looks fantastic. I have no reason to really get rid of them. Like I'd be upgrading for the sake of it. And I love what I get out of this GH5S. It surprised me how much better it was than what I was used to seeing in the editing suite. I was like, man, this looks really good. Oh yeah, so sorry, Hassan, in terms of the picture profile, I use Cine V on all of my videos. Occasionally I'll use like Vlog if I'm out filming something, but I never use them in here. It's always Cine V. I don't color grade it or anything. It just looks good. Well, it looks as good as it does. Whether it looks good or not is another thing. Bailey Stone, welcome mate. Thanks for dropping in. Looking forward to the Fuji review. I love their stuff. I've never used a Fuji camera, which I was kind of surprised they emailed me actually. This was going back like 2 months ago. They started emailing me saying, are you interested? I said, yeah, send them out. So I'm going to borrow one of my friends who you'll enjoy seeing her on the video. I'm just going to use someone who can be like a model for it because, yeah, I really like lots of stuff. Again, every camera company's they've somewhat crippled some features in all of their cameras. There's like something that's never quite right, but there's a lot to like about the Fuji, including their color science looks great as well. So I'm keen to see what I come up with their camera for the first time, using one for the first time with one of their Cine lenses, which I've never used. So it should be cool. Jamal says he was looking for Final Cut and Logic Pro. Well, mate, you're going to the top of what they basically have for video and audio. I haven't used Logic Pro before, but it looks pretty much the same as GarageBand. You should just see if GarageBand's enough for you. That's all I'm using on my guitar channel. It seems to be fine, unless you really want to start recording like a full-blown album and you need sort of more ability to access plugins and all that kind of stuff. You might save yourself some money and use GarageBand. I'm actually thinking about recording an album just with GarageBand and its drums and then doing all the guitar and bass parts myself. So yeah, it's more powerful than I think people realize. All right. A7S III is amazing, but it costs like $5,600. Yeah. See, for me, that's a deal breaker, right? There's this, I think cameras and when it comes to computers, there's this mentality of like, what's coming out next is always going to be so much better than the one that you already got. That's not normally the case. I mean, the biggest thing you can do is either just change your lens or get better lighting. Like even in this room, since I've been fiddling with the lighting, it's starting to look better. Even compared to like my last few videos, I feel like I'm starting to get the lighting in this small room better. It's not perfect yet, but it's getting better. And that's half the challenge. You get good lighting, get a decent lens, and anything will look good. And for me to go spend $5,600 on a camera, it's not going to make my content any better. And I think that's the trap. Everyone thinks the gear is going to be the... And look, it helps, especially if you're in a tech channel, you want it to look good, or any YouTube channel, you want it to look and sound good, but it's not the be all and end all. If I replace this with a camera that's 3 times more expensive, it's probably not going to look any better due to my lighting and my set. It's, you know, I've got a piece of paper back here. So how's the autofocus been? Has it been all right? I think it's been all right. Look, it's still on, I'm pretty sure. Is it still on? Where's the square? There it is. Looks like it's worked. What do I think is the best budget XLR audio wireless transmitter? I've tried 3 of them. I've tried there's 2 from X-Vive and 1 from NUX. The best one is the Phantom Power compatible X-Vive one. And I'm going to put a caveat on this because I think they all could be better. But if you're indoors, you're not going to have any problems with any of these systems, right? So there's the NUX B3, the X-Vive U2. I think that it's called the U3. I could be wrong. I haven't actually... No, I did a video on it. I'm pretty sure I did. But they don't work well outside. As soon as you turn around, signal gets lost. If you're indoors, they work fine. It must be something to do with... I know this isn't the technical reason for it, but it almost feels like the signal has somewhere to bounce off and just becomes more direct as opposed to just going everywhere. It's UHF. I mean, it's 2.4 gigahertz, so it shouldn't have that problem. But yeah, I just found them all completely unusable outside over any sort of distance. Up close, it's going to be okay, but they're still the best budget one for indoor use only. Any of those ones will do the job. But if you get the X-Vive that has the Phantom Power option, it means it can power condenser microphone. So you can use a shotgun microphone, a handheld condenser mic. You can use anything with them, and that would be the one that I would recommend. If you're only going to be using it with a dynamic microphone, they'll all work okay. There's no real winner between the X-Vive and the NUX. They're basically the same. Yeah, I think, Jamal, I think GarageBand will get you most of the way there, man. I was like, so I moved over from PC on that computer in my main room, and I went over to the Mac, and I'm thinking, oh man, I've been using like Cubase, which is, I was using Nuendo for about 12 years. I thought, damn, I'm gonna miss that. I've got so many plugins, and I just know how to use it back to front. GarageBand's made for kids. And then I went, you know what? It's actually pretty good. So I don't like it has some functionality flaws. Like if you're used to using other programs, you have to unlearn a few things. But yeah, it's pretty good. We've got Dimple in here as well. Welcome, mate. What is my capture card? So I'm just streaming directly out of the ATEM Mini Pro. It's got a encoder built into it. So that's hooked up to an Ethernet port going through my router. And that's it. Nice and simple. I can go live at the touch of a button. So I'm going out of, basically 3 cameras into a switcher. One of these kind of things. And then that's getting sent to the web. It's funny how quickly this got better, all of this stuff. And I don't mean on my channel, but just in general, how quick switching became easy. Because before, the ATEM Mini Pro and the ATEM Mini, and there was the Roland the VHD1 was out, but it was like $1,000, and it was basically not as good in some ways as the ATEM Mini. Some ways probably a little better, but it was still $1,000. And then all of a sudden, everything started to become more accessible. Different companies are bringing stuff out, and we've seen improvements from companies that no one's ever heard of. They've like taken the concept and added better functionality to some extent. You know, so things have gotten better. I'll take a couple more questions here if anyone's got some. Looks like the autofocus has worked. I'm shocked. Everyone gives Panasonic a hard time. Look, I think with the autofocus on Panasonic too, it really depends on what's going on behind you. If it's a busy background, lots of trees or lights, it gets a bit more confused. But this one area mode I've always found to be pretty reliable. Somewhat reliable anyway. Top topic, sorry man, I can't understand that, but it looks cool. Dr. Nerd, welcome mate. Yeah, I think the Fuji is the X-T4 is the one they're going to be sending out with the cinema lens. Cinema lens. It means I probably have to get a gimbal out. I don't know if it's going to be stabilized or not, so I guess we'll find out. Bailey says, not a geek question. Would you be open to being a guest on my live stream in the future? Yeah, man. Absolutely. Give me a rough idea of what it's about. Yeah, happy to be involved. Let me see if I missed it. If I missed any of your questions, guys, I apologize. Let me just scroll back up. Oh, I missed some here from Abella, is it? Sorry. Not too sure. All right. Oh, well, might wrap it up, but thanks for being a part of this first stream for 2021. All right, last question. This is a good one. Hey Shane, what do you think most YouTube newbies should be focused more on pre or post production skills? Yes. So the hardest thing about doing a YouTube channel isn't it's kind of hard to talk to a camera for a lot of people, and I was uncomfortable with it for years. And then all of a sudden it becomes easy and you get used to it, and then that's half the battle. I think people don't focus on the content enough. You can have I see a lot of channels, especially in the camera niche as well, and this isn't to like ridicule anyone. It's like this in all niches, but especially in the camera niche, they've got really great setups, but they don't really have any good content. It's like you can get away with shooting with a phone if the topic of the video is good, or if it's enjoyable or informative. If the video quality is no good and the quality of the content isn't any good, I'm not saying mine's any good, right? But I'm just using this as an example. So after like 12 years of shooting videos for online on other channels, that's the thing that everyone should be focused on. What can I do that's going to be helpful, informative, entertaining, or enjoyable, or all of the above? And then also deliver it in a way that I guess makes sense for whoever's watching it. It's a big learning thing, right? You've got to learn how to. I'm always still trying to refine the process of the videos. You'll see on the next couple that are coming up that are already scheduled, I've made it more to the point straight away as well. I'm trying to find ways to improve it all of the time. But it's also important to start as well, because I've got a few friends that took a long time to decide, you know what, I'm going to do it this year. Whereas they were talking about it 5 years ago. So you've just got to give it a go. I think if you're in a niche like tech, you can't have it look terrible because there's so much competition. And it doesn't mean it has to look like Peter McKinnon good, right? But it just has to look good. It has to sound good. And you've just got to be yourself and try to do your own thing. So, yeah, it's a weird thing. Editing out a lot of the unnecessary stuff is still something I always question. I'm like, do I need this in the video or do I not? Or can I say it in a more concise way? Because I don't script my videos, right? I've only ever done that once and I hated it. So what I do, I tend to have notes about what I want to add into the video, like add in this, 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 and this, but not as paragraphs, just points. And then I'll try and say the same thing 5 different ways, and I'll pick one that sounds the best. Because by the third one, I'm like, oh, this is much easier. I could just say it in 10 seconds like this. So I think a lot of the time it comes down to being concise, and then the editing is, and all that kind of stuff is secondary. But it's good to have a couple of those skills up in your bag, because again, depending on if you're in a tech niche where it's highly competitive, and there's, you know, you just look at any of the good tech channels, mine excluded, but look at all the good tech channels. They all look like $1 million, right? So there's a balance between both. But I always stand by the fact, if your video is helpful and informative, it'll do well. You know, a couple of the early videos I posted did really well, and they didn't look very good, but they were straight to the point, helpful. So, yeah. Hey, thanks, King Posse. Appreciate that, mate. Have a good one. My live stream is basically about any photo, video editing, or video technology news topics that kind of find interesting. Okay, cool. I stumbled onto your live stream as it was recommended on my YouTube homepage. Where do you announce it usually? Yeah, this is the first one I've done in probably 6 months or 8 months or more. So I don't. Usually I'm going to try and schedule them ahead of time. I always say that, but I don't stream on here much. So I'm going to try and do one every other week, maybe an hour. I'll keep it to an hour. I know I've gone over today, but there's a few people here, and I figure, why not? So just, if you're not subscribed, you can, and then you'll see an event scheduled ahead of time. You can hit set reminder, and once it goes live, you'll get a pop-up on YouTube. What's my thoughts on the Panasonic FZ300? Content is great. You know, I think they're pretty cool cameras. I haven't owned one. I used to own an FZ2500. The FZ300 is kind of like its, I guess, brother, smaller brother or something like that, younger brother. It does 4K. It does have some recording restrictions on it, like I think 30-minute timer possibly in 4K. But overall, they're pretty good. Those bridge cameras are a good all-in-one option. Some people say, I'm not a photographer, but a lot of people say that sometimes the bridge cameras from Panasonic, they're not the sharpest in photo mode. I don't know, but if you're buying one of them, odds are you might be wanting it more for, or primarily for video. So you're going to be doing lots of shorter clips, you're going to be fine. Now there's 2 models that are under the FZ2500. One has a headphone jack and one doesn't have a headphone jack. So yeah, check for mic inputs as well. Just make sure you can add a third part, like an external microphone. I'm pretty sure the FZ300 has that. Good thoughts on that. I've got people asking me to do an edit tutorial, but I find it very hard to separate the pre and post production, as no amount of editing will save my crummy takes. Yeah, look, it is what it is. You know, when you go live, there's nowhere to hide. You hear all the words I'm fumbling over. But when I do the videos, I try to get it out as clearly as I can on the day. It might take me 2 goes, might take me 1 go, it might take me 4 goes, and that's the frustrating part about it. But I don't like scripting stuff. I see a lot of people and they're like looking above the camera all the time like this when they're reading stuff, and I'm like, man, I can't watch that. I shouldn't say I can't watch it, because there's some guys that do that really well. Like Gerald Undone, he's phenomenal at it. But there's guys that I see doing it all of the time. They got their head on an angle and they're reading the thing it's like, man, yeah. To each their own, you know, like I get it. Scripting a video is probably the most concise way of doing it. I've tried it a few times. I just don't like reading when it comes to trying to talk to the camera. I've never done that. So for me, it was like unlearning years of just work, you know, like I'm so used to just having bullet points, or even on my guitar channel, I don't even have bullet points. I just know the formula of the video, so I don't even have to worry about it. But yeah, it is what it is. I think when you're starting out, if you've not done any videos, maybe script it or have a lot of bullet points that you want to touch on, and then just cut it between each of those takes. Hassan, thanks man. Stay safe. Vic is much better now, but there's increasing cases in New South Wales. Yeah, I hear. Yeah, well, mate, we had the worst year here last year, so hopefully, hopefully New South Wales don't get in the same position we were in. Is it Hoang? Sorry, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, man. Just saying hello. Really enjoy videos. Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. I'm going to try and make an effort to get at least one video every week on this channel. It may be 2 coming up. We'll see how we go. But I've got 2 already pre-scheduled. One goes live tomorrow morning, and then there's another one coming up, I think, on the weekend. And then I'll just start adding to it. So, Marcel, welcome, man. Thank you. You too. All the best. All right. Might be time to hit the road. Thanks everybody for hanging out. I appreciate it. Stay tuned. We're going to have some videos of these guys coming up pretty soon. So we'll see if they're any good. And we'll do a big comparison video between these and the ATEM stuff, as well as the YOLO box and this big guy over here, so which I've already done a review for, but that'll be part of that whole series of videos. So I think yeah, it seems to be a lot of interest in the live streaming stuff on this channel, so, and podcasting stuff as well. So that's probably what I'm going to focus on mostly this year, as well as probably a handful of camera reviews if I can borrow some stuff like that. But yeah. Best way for me is to script and memorize and film 1 paragraph at a time. Oh, you can do that. Yeah, that works too. I feel like once I know something really well, like once I play around with this and I understand exactly how it works, then I don't need to script it too much. I just want to make sure I put all the points down that I need to cover about it, whether that's, you know, usability or functionality or what's on the menus, how to get to the menus, all that kind of stuff. And once you nail the usability of something and you understand the menus and, oh, I shouldn't have had a fizzy drink, sorry. Yeah, then it's a lot easier for me to film. But if I'm in a rush and I don't get a chance to really learn something until I'm filming, I hate shooting videos like that. So, yeah. All right, guys, rock on. Have a great evening. Have a great day wherever you are around the world. And I will catch you on the next one. I'll schedule one up. I'm going to try and do one every other week like I mentioned, so hang in there. Next time we do this, I'm going to try and get the Rodecaster all hooked up, but I think that video is going live tomorrow morning. So you want to hear how that sounds, first impressions of that, all that kind of stuff. That'll be up in the morning. So thanks again. All right, folks, take care, and thanks again for all the support last year and into 2021. All the best.